Hello, welcome to the Bible and Justice podcast. This is one of many podcasts. So as you know that we have the website where we normally post the blogs, and unfortunately we haven't posted any blogs since I think the 15th of November because we've been struggling to get new writers, people who will be featured as writers on our blog. So if you're listening to this podcast and you want to write for the kingdom of God, don't hesitate. Just go on Instagram and check or type in the Bible and social justice, and you'll be able to find our page. And then from then on, you just go straight to the DMs and let us know if you are interested to write for us. Alternatively, if you want to see past or previous writings, you can go straight to our profile on Instagram, and you should be able to find the website link, and from there on you'll be able to see a lot of the works or the previous articles from there on. Okay, so this podcast is going to be about grief. Okay, I was just sitting down in my rooms I think a few days ago, and then suddenly it was just imparted in my spirit that I should just come up with a podcast that will be focusing on grief. First I wanted to write an article, but I was like, why not make it a podcast instead? Okay, it has been a very challenging year, 2020. A lot of us lost a lot of our loved ones as a result of COVID-19. As I'm speaking right now, December was very, very, very difficult because we lost a close relative from my family, and then as we were still looking at that, my friend actually lost her dad and two other extended family relatives, and she was going through the most because you realize that the father was the sole breadwinner and they actually relied on him, and suddenly this thing that's happening, it actually required them to actually spend a lot of money, and you get it. As a result, they had to they were left with nothing. So losing the sole breadwinner, digesting that, and then also digesting the fact that after all, this was a dead, and this was a person that she was looking forward to make proud. And then now this week, two of my colleagues lost their husbands. So these are only the people that I'm close to, and then you suddenly realize that there's more people who have been going through grief all over the world as a result of COVID, and I think it's not that death has not been happening, or maybe funerals have not been happening in the previous years, you get it, but now with COVID, it seems like it's becoming more real to a lot of us, because like in South Africa, they usually you have a period of 4 days. You're given 4 days to bury the person. So if the person passed away, they have 4 days to make sure that the funeral arrangements are done, and then they can get to bury the person. Whereas in the previous years, people used to have like a week to 2 weeks to plan everything before they can bury the person. So usually a lot of the funerals used to happen on Saturdays and Sundays, but now we are burying people every day. So you just walk around the neighborhood and you find a lot of different tents in different households. You get it? So suddenly it looks like there are more deaths, or there were more deaths in 2020 compared to the previous years. I don't know, the concept of death has suddenly become more real, that this is a reality. These are the things that it has become a normal thing. You get it? But grief can never be a normal thing, because it's a thing that comes suddenly for a lot of people. Even if a person was sick for a long time, it can never be something that is normal. So at this difficult time, where a lot of people are going through the anxiety of, what if I contract COVID? What if I contract COVID again? You get it? And what if I find myself also going through the motions and the difficulties of fighting the virus? And then what if my family members end up contracting it and they lose their lives? How am I going to survive this life after that? Okay, I want you to allow yourself to be vulnerable, allow yourself to grieve fully. I know that losing a father, because even myself, I lost my father due to a car accident in 2015, and unfortunately I never allowed myself to grieve for him until after a while. Suddenly, basically what I'm trying to say is that I just decided to put it aside, because I was still at school and I had exams. Put it aside, and then suddenly when it like I had that emotional outburst, it was the worst thing. Yeah, it was the worst period, and it extended for years, and I ended up going through depression because I was not I didn't have time to grieve, or I didn't allow myself to grieve. So can we, in this year, can we please be available to grieve with those who are grieving, to mourn with those that are mourning, to just be the strength for people around us? Because you just realize that just because it's happening to my friend's family, it doesn't mean that it's not happening to the other person that I don't even know. You get it? So it also teaches you to be kinder to the next person, because you don't know what they're going through at this time. You get it? There's just a lot of things that people are going through. Some are losing their jobs, some are frustrated with life in general, and now they have to deal with grief too. You get it? So we need to create communities where people will be free to be themselves, to be free to actually express their frustrations, express how they're feeling, express their difficulties. Yes, because even when we had the funeral in December, I just didn't know what to do with myself. Okay, fine, we were going through the motions. We were going through the motions of arrangements, the funerals, the cooking and everything. And then suddenly we had the funeral actually started. And then suddenly everyone was just down. And I just didn't know what to do with myself, because I struggle with emotions. So what I did is that, like, when I found people, those who were crying the most, those who were more closer to the person, or actually were more hurting, I just found myself just sitting next to them and just holding their hands and just trying to comfort them. So because we deal with grief differently, and some of us would rather be the ones who are just in the forefront and helping out with everything. Some of us would rather be isolated. Whatever way you prefer. If you find yourself not being able to release, please be a comfort to those who are just releasing at that moment. Being in the motions, you will also be able to help you be helping those who are struggling, those who are going through the difficulties. You get it? Because I've learned that those who release during the funeral, they tend to thrive even after the funeral. Whereas those who struggle to release during the funeral, they tend to struggle with the emotions for a very long time. You get it? So if you are comforting them in the struggles, they will be able to comfort you when you suddenly have to go through the motions of grief even yourself. You get it? So all in all, let's not forget to pray to God. You just pray for peace. Pray for God to be the strength. Pray to God to comfort you and your family all the time. Yeah, so my condolences to everyone who had found themselves losing a loved one in 2020, and those who have suddenly lost their loved ones in those short 7 days of 2021. I know that chances are there's still more people who have to still bury their loved ones in the coming few months, but we're just going to be, because that's actually, it's part of life to lose people. But we just pray that God will grant us strength, and we also be able to help us understand that it was not our fault that we lost a person, but it was his time. I don't know if it makes sense. It's not your fault that the person actually ended up passing away, but it just had to happen at that time. Some things may not make sense, but we just have to trust in God that his plan is the best one. You get it? Not everything will make sense. Yeah, I think I will stop here. If ever you are looking for someone to reach out to, don't hesitate to just go on the Instagram page that I've mentioned, the Bible and Social Justice, and DM us, and we'll be able to reach you and talk to you about anything that you want to talk about. And also, if you're not the one who's dealing with death or grief, also don't be shy to be strength for those around you. You don't know how much people need people, because these protocols, they limit so much of human contact. So there are many people who are going through a lot of difficulties, struggles in their closets, and they don't even know who to turn to or who to talk to in these trying and difficult times. Thank you so much for listening.